y'all, and welcome to the Healthy by Heather Brown podcast, where I encourage you in healthy mind, body, and spirit through my Sunday reset. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Healthy by Heather Brown podcast, season 7, where we're uncovering truth for your mind, body, and spirit in a world that's louder than ever. Today is part 2 of my conversation with the bold, brilliant, and fearless Alex Clark of Culture Apothecary, a top 10 health and wellness podcast. And trust me, you're going to want to lean in on this one. If you missed last week's part 1 of her episode, I'll link it down below for you in the show notes, so make sure to click back and listen. In this 2-part episode, we're diving deeper into what actually surprised her about meeting President Trump and RFK Jr., her personal convictions around truth and cultural change, and how she's staying grounded in God's voice while navigating influence, opposition, grief, Maha movement, and big platforms. If you've ever wondered what it's like to live out your calling when it's not always popular or easy, you're about to hear it straight from someone doing just that. So let's jump into it. Welcome to Alex Clark. Thanks for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here.
I am curious. You mentioned your brother and your mom. Are they into health like you are? Are they more like how your dad felt, where they're like, she's out here doing this thing, I don't really know?
I would say no to my brother. My mom is definitely open. She at least is starting to recognize some of the seed oils. She asks me questions. Sometimes she'll be like, "Hey, I found this. It's organic. I don't see anything bad in it. Like, send me, something." I've taught her about like siete for tortillas or chips or things like that. So like,
love them.
There are little things that she's picking up on. I've really, really been like, "Mom, it needs to be organic. It needs to be organic. Like, you've got to be going to this farmer. Found a farmer for them to be using. Go to this farmer's market." Like, so she's trying, getting raw milk or things like that, or like looking for like A2 or grass fed. Like she's picking up on things. I think my mom and I are very similar. We rely on other people a lot. It's so funny because compared to my mom, I'm so independent, but compared to other people, I'm not independent. Like, I'm very much like, I need people around me. Like, I need helpers. I'm like honestly kind of helpless. And my mom is very much like that. If somebody isn't holding her hand, like, buy this, do this, don't do this. Like, she's paralyzed with decision making. So I'm doing the best that I can. My next kind of goal for her is to like go get her full blood work done, to have her do a Dutch test, get her hormones tested, all that kind of stuff. She's never done any of that. So that's kind of next on my list for her.
I love that. And Alex, I don't have this on things that I was initially going to talk to you about, but you mentioned it, and now I'm like, I just feel a prompting to ask you about it. Do you mind even just sharing a little bit about what your grief journey has looked like? Because you're right, that is so much that you've been through the past 6 months. So like, my heart goes out to you. And girl, I have cried multiple times on my show about losing my mother-in-law. So like, I definitely like, it's hard to be in the public spotlight when you're going through so much personally. So I'm just curious, maybe like, can you share a little bit about maybe what the Lord's taught you over the past 6 months, and or like how you balance that with public life too?
Yeah. So first of all, my dad died. He had glioblastoma, brain tumor, brain cancer. He also had heart failure. He had a lot of things wrong with him. He had type 2 diabetes. He had multiple heart attacks. His heart was completely shutting down. He needed a heart transplant, but when you have cancer, you're not eligible to have an organ transplant. So he needed somebody else's heart. And so we kind of knew it was like a waiting game. Like, is it going to be glioblastoma that ends up taking him out, or is it going to be his heart shutting down? And so it ended up, technically it was his heart, stopped in his sleep in December. But before that, knowing that he had a brain tumor in January of 2024, I mean, I basically had a year to start grieving. So like, they already said, like, your dad has a year he has 12 to 18 months to live. And so I knew going into that, like, I started processing him as being dead, honestly, while he was still alive. So it was like just having something wrong with my car and like not calling my dad necessarily, knowing like, okay, I got to try to figure this out and ask somebody else, because what am I going to do in a year? Yeah. So like, I started kind of doing that. And then when he finally did pass away, it was unexpected because it was a little sooner than we thought, but I had just seen him for Thanksgiving. Thank goodness. I went home for Thanksgiving, and then I was planning on seeing him a couple days later for Christmas break. And then, he passed away on December 11th at 57. And it was the best time of the year for that to happen because we automatically, with my show, like we always take Christmas time off. So I have had like 2 weeks. So I was able to just completely be home all of Christmas, all of New Year's, be with my mom, and kind of start dealing with like what needed to be done. And then we just did his memorial service and like spread his ashes and all of that in end of April. So we waited a long time to do that. So yeah, it's been, more just like trying to pump up my mom of like being on her own. They were high school sweethearts. She's never been with anybody else. She just doesn't know how to do life on her own. So that's been like a whole can of worms to kind of figure out. But yeah, I mean, just trying to, have moments when I need them to break down and keep going. I do really, really well being distracted. So it's hard being in the public space and having a show when you are going through really horrific personal things, but it's always been kind of a really good coping mechanism and like therapy for me when I have gone through a breakup or now lost a parent or whatever, is that knowing the next morning I got to be on the air, knowing the next morning I got to record an interview. Like I have to get it together. And I have become an expert at compartmentalizing my brain. I could be literally breaking down on one little back corner and you would never know because I'm on stage and like doing all this, but like weirdly, like I'm giving a speech and then like back here, I'm like thinking like I just got dumped, or whatever it's been throughout the course of my, at this point, like 13-year career or whatever. So like, that's been helpful for me. I think I have a special skill set and ability to do that. And I think most people in entertainment or broadcasting kind of have that special talent.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really cool for you to share that though, so that people can hear it, because I think that so often it's easy to think like, oh, well, she's just fine. But it's like, well, really, you're still a human.
I pick and choose my moments to be fine and not fine.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Okay, so Alex, I'm going to ask you too, what inspired Culture Apothecary's mission and how is it rooted in your faith? And then will you share a little bit even about like how you came to know the Lord? I don't know if I've heard you share that publicly before, and I'd love to hear that.
So Culture Apothecary kind of came to be, when I started going down that rabbit hole of health and wellness, I started slowly transitioning all my interviews and content to be about health and wellness. I just didn't like formally announce it. Hey, this is a health and wellness show. Sure. But in February of 2024, I knew I wanted to go that direction and totally rebrand. And I came up with the idea of Culture Apothecary as the name and this kind of motto of healing a sick culture physically, emotionally, and spiritually, because, my show is under the umbrella of Turning Point USA. What is the mission of Turning Point USA? We're a conservative youth organization and we're fighting the culture war. We talk about that all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to do a health and wellness show. How does that fit into a culture war? Well, because our culture is sick. And I started thinking about like, we're sick in all these different ways. We're sick physically, but we're also sick emotionally, mentally, and relationally and spiritually. And so if I am doing a show that is technically a health and wellness show under Turning Point USA, that works because I'm covering all these different avenues, and really it's a huge broad spectrum. I think at first everybody at Turning Point was like, okay, every show is going to be about food. And I was like, no, like honestly, every episode is going to be no different than what I was doing before. It could be parenting. It could be theology, all these things like fall under health. Like health is very broad.
Yes.
And so I thought it was like the perfect thing. And I also just was like, conservatives aren't talking about this. Health has never been a focal point. I saw the writing on the wall. I saw the trends. I was like, I know this is going to be one of the top issues for female voters going forward. I think we can get ahead of this within, the conservative movement. And so I wanted to be that person, just like when I had created Politics, which was the first show I did with Turning Point, was covering pop culture from a conservative perspective. Nobody had been doing a pop culture entertainment news show from a conservative perspective, period. I was the first one to ever do it. So I think I have throughout my career, I'm really good at pivoting. I am really good at noticing trends before they happen and making changes. I'm not afraid of change in some aspects. Some aspects I am. But when it comes to like brand evolutions, I think I'm really good at that. And I want to do what I need to do to stay relevant, keep my head above water. And also, I am very unhappy when I am doing something purely for attention on me or glory for me.
Mm.
And that is why, like, everybody's like, well, why don't we just do a show like you just talk to Mike about your life? Like you talk to camera about your life. And I was like, no, why don't we just call it the Alex Clark Show? No, I never, ever, ever wanted my name to be in the title because I don't want it to be about me. It's about my guests. It's about them being the experts. I'm not the expert. I always say that. And then people are always like, I'm so like, she was a chicken nugget princess 2 years ago and now she's trying to give us health advice. I'm like, I am telling you what I'm learning as I'm learning it. The experts that I have on my show are the experts. Like, I'm not trying to act like I'm some know-it-all on nutrition and health. I'm not at all. I mean, every other day I'm like texting Paul Saladino being like, help me understand this. Like, so it's just like kind of weird to me, but people like love to hate and like discredit you, I guess. Yes. I honestly think it's them thing because they don't want to admit that if I was able to do these changes and learn all this and figure it out, that means they can do it, and they want to pretend like they can't. Agree. So they want to live in a prison of, victimhood when it comes to health, and that's on them. We'll see you in 20 years. We'll see how you are and how I am. But anyway, sorry, I'm a little bit like blunt.
Savage.
Spiritual journey. I mean, I don't have an exciting story. I just grew up in a Christian conservative home. I grew up kind of like Assemblies of God, Pentecostal adjacent, going to revivals as a kid. I got baptized in a horse trough when I was 6 years old. It was my choice. I went to a revival one summer. I mean, this is like so Southern. I was living in Tennessee for a couple years when I was little. We lived in Tennessee. And so we went to revival and I like prayed and I asked Jesus to come into my heart and I asked him to forgive me for my sins. And I really thought about it. And like, I don't know, 6 months later or something, I was like, I think I want to get baptized. So I asked my parents, and this little church we were going to, this little country church, all they had was like a horse trough. So that's what I got baptized in. I remember I had a little farm shirt on, and yeah, that was it. And then, grew up church every Sunday, youth group every Wednesday, all of those things. I would say I didn't get I think I was more like passive Christian believer probably until like the last 2 years. I think that I started to really start understanding there were things like that I just didn't know about theology. Like I would remember being so embarrassed. The Babylon Bee interviewed me like 3 years ago during the pandemic. They interviewed me and he asked me, he was like, are you Armenian or are you a Calvinist? And I was silent. And I said, I don't know what that is. And he was like, oh, and I could tell they were embarrassed for me. It was like the whole thing was super cringe. I cried after the interview and I was like, I guess I'm not a Christian because I don't even know what this is. And I've never heard these words in my entire life. And so I was just like, I was humiliated. And so then I was like asking about it and I was trying to learn. I was like, okay, like there was just things like that it's like, yeah, I grew up like praying mother, devotions every morning, like, being in the word, all of those things like. And I didn't know that. I don't know. It wasn't ever covered in Assemblies of God churches. So yeah, there's been a lot in the last couple of years that I've learned that I just had never heard before, but have always been a Christian, always been a believer. I mean, I remember vividly being like 8 years old at the playground and like saying to other kids, like, can I pray for you? Do you know Jesus? And like taking them under the slide and like praying for them. I remember like writing little sticky notes and riding my bike around the neighborhood and putting smile, Jesus loves you sticky notes in like every mailbox. I remember like getting in trouble. I wasn't allowed to play with a neighbor kid after I started doing playing church with her in my room. And we were singing worship songs and I was teaching her about Jesus and how Jesus died on the cross for us. And basically I was witnessing to her as like a little kid. Yeah. And her mom, they were not believers. And her mom told my mom, I'm sorry, but so-and-so is not going to be allowed to play with Alex anymore. I don't want her talking to her about God and all that. I mean, like, so I've always been very outspoken. My mouth has always gotten me in trouble. And so I think my spiritual journey has just had different like ebbs and flows like that. And just learning as I've been going. And I think it's been really helpful. I'm in a really, really solid church now with Costi Hinn as my pastor. And so I started going there after I interviewed him and I really, really loved my interview with him. And so, yeah, it's been great.
I love it. Well, Alex, that makes me laugh too, because I know that you've also been like not promoting, but saying on social media, like having a little bit of drama perhaps around like infant baptisms versus later baptisms, all this kind of stuff, which just cracks me up. But my husband.
The baptism thing. And then people were like, do you believe that you're really eating Jesus's flesh. And I was like, what are you talking about, bro? This is a Wendy's restaurant. Like, what? So yeah, there's just some stuff I'm like, hey, well, I guess I don't know about that. So yeah, I didn't grow up. I will say this, like having like a lot of Catholics in my audience, I've learned a lot more about Catholicism. I did not grow up with anyone in my family being Catholic, had no Catholic friends. One friend in high school was very staunchly Catholic and still is. And I remember her mom would be like, if she spends the night on Saturday, she's going to mass with us in the morning. So I went to mass like 2 times with her because I did sleepovers with that family. But I did not know anything about Catholicism. So like a lot of stuff when I'm being asked like, how do you not know this about Catholics? I'm like, I've never heard it. I need a little grace, please. Like, I don't know. And I'm not a Catholic. So like, yeah, I'm not going to be doing a bunch of Catholic interviews and all this because I'm not Catholic. I'm not. Like I'm not going to be doing a bunch of Mormon LDS interviews because I'm not Mormon. I'm not going to be doing a bunch of Judaism interviews with Jews because I'm not Jewish. Like, so, just like, unless this was a theology show that I was hosting, that would be, like Allie Stuckey, it makes sense for her as somebody that loves to debate theology to be doing interviews with people of different faiths. I'm not interested in doing that. I also don't debate. I don't like debating politics. I don't like debating theology. I'm not a debater. So anyway,
and I'm like, but I feel like you would be a great debater because hearing all the things that you have done, like with Congress and everything, when you speak, I'm like, dang girl, get it. She could take anybody down.
because I am a speech writer. I can read written words very, very well. I can read a prompter like nobody's business. I can read a written speech like nobody's business. And I'm writing it, but it's my words, but it's just, I do better with that. When I am just left to my own devices, I have the world's worst memory. I mean, Dory on Finding Nemo has me beat. I cannot remember anything like 45 minutes after it happened. Like, I can't remember statistics to save my life. It has to be written in front of me. So yeah, I suck at debate. When I got hired at Turning Point, that was my biggest fear. I said, you're not going to put me on college campuses like Charlie and Candace, right? Please don't do that. I do not want to do that. I want to host a show. This is where my talents are. This is what I'm good at. I love interviewing people. I do not want to debate leftists. And they're like, don't worry, that's not going to be your lane. And I was like, cool. I mean, that was like, I was like, do not hire me if you're going to make me do it because I will quit. So yeah, that's just not my thing. And some people love it. Morgan McMichael, who's a contributor for Turning Point, you say she loves it. Isabel Brown loves doing that. It's just not me.
Yes, I so get that. I was laughing though when you said that about the trough because my husband also got sprinkled as an infant. And then he joined our Baptist church that we go to now. And they like did a whole sermon series on baptism by immersion and how it should be later because then you understand how you're following Christ, et cetera, et cetera. And so he also got baptized in a trough. So I'm like, look at you two Indianian in Hoosiers. You two Hoosiers.
Yes. Love that for us.
Yes, that's right. And Alex, I think that it's really cool that you shared that you became a believer at a young age as well, because I did too. I mean, my mom said literally that I was like about to turn, I think it was 5. I think I was 4 years old when I like literally said to her, I want to invite Jesus into my heart. But you're so right that thank goodness through sanctification and getting closer to the Lord over time, it's like, you do start to learn more and understand more, but how sweet that childlike faith is. Like, I love that they show that so clearly in The Chosen. And so I think it's sweet that you're sharing that here too. So if people have become believers at a young age, I think sometimes we can feel like, well, I don't have this cool conversion story where I was like a drunk driver and like God, in a split moment.
No, I didn't murder my whole family and then, came to know God. Like, unfortunately, like I always feel like I have the worst story. But yeah, I think more like my sanctification process is like, I mean, obviously everyone's is still ongoing, but like definitely I just started to understand more and take that more seriously in the last 5 years or so. So.
Totally. Well, I know we're quickly running out of time, so I want to ask you a few answer in 20 seconds or less type questions. Okay.
Well, those are good questions, by the way. I've never ever, I don't think I've really shared any of that I just told you.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for being willing to share. I appreciate that. Alex, what is one wellness truth you wish every young woman knew?
I wish obviously I have to say I wish more women understood the harms of hormonal birth control. I think if more women were given true informed consent in America about hormonal birth control, 98% of them would opt to not ever take it. There is just, in my opinion, so many more cons than pros. And there are other ways to prevent pregnancy. There are only 5 days a month or so that you can get pregnant. Like, why do you need to be on this, every single day, in and day out, every month, it's just wrecking your health, and it's wrecking your mental health. It's changing your personality. It's changing the type of men that you're attracted to. It is, hurting your sex drive. It's just, there's so many things. And so, yeah, I would say if every woman knew the truth about hormonal birth control, she would get off of it. And I just did a great interview on hormonal birth control, PCOS, and endometriosis in March of this year with Dr. Jolene Brighton. So I highly recommend that. And then I highly recommend, before my show rebranded, I interviewed this girl, Emily. Her handle is Little Ray of Health. And that is like two of my most popular episodes ever on all things birth control and understanding your cycle and the phases of your cycle, how to eat during those different times of the month, how to work out during different times of the month, all the things. And it's like, those are hugely popular episodes.
Amazing. Okay, I'll link back to those, as well as I did one with Nicole Jardim talking all about cycle syncing and the same stuff too, which if you have not listened to one of those episodes from Alex or me, please educate yourself. I beg of you. Next question. What's getting you the most fired up right now?
Ooh, what's getting me the most fired up? I think it's the working out. I think it's I hated, like, I did not care about content about people's workouts or weightlifting or whatever. And now I'm like, that's all my algorithm is like these chicks that are just getting after it, building muscle in the gym. And I'm like, we got this. This is such a fun journey. I mean, my videos right now are so embarrassing. Like, I'm so weak. Like, the amount of weight I'm able to lift is pathetic. I mean, probably a toddler could lift more than me, but we're getting there. I just have no strength, but we're getting there slowly. And I'm not trying to kill myself, which I appreciate. My trainer has been really good about, like, slowly working me up in weight. She's not killing me, which was like a big thing that I made sure she knew. I was like, I need to go slow.
So good. Yeah. Alex, I'm going to send you a link for my Fit peptides. They have me breaking my PRs on weights. It's insane. So I'll talk to you about that later. But favorite book that shifted your mindset?
That's health or what?
Just anything. Open to interpretation.
Okay, I always shout out, because it's so freaking good, is Vani Hari's book that is all about corruption in the food industry.
Ooh, I need to read this. What's it called?
It's called Feeding You Lies.
Feeding
by Vani
Lies.
Hari.
Okay, I'm linking it in the show notes, guys.
Excellent. Like, the chapter, I literally started crying. The evil, I mean, you would not think you would cry reading a book like this. The evil that, for example, the American Beverage Association, Coke, Pepsi, what they do to hijack health in America is so weird. Like, it's so evil. It seems like something that would be made up in a movie, like a horror movie. It's so crazy. And I was crying because it was so nuts. Like, literally lobbying, going to Capitol Hill, lobbying against taking off soda off food stamps and convincing people, legislators, that it's because it's racist. Like, even though it's hurting the African American population more than anyone else, is like soda on food stamps and all this kind of stuff. Like, they're suffering, and they're weirdly saying it's racist, take them off. But like, that's who it's just, the whole thing is crazy. But yeah, so I would say Feeding You Lies by Vani Hari, and I like Everything I Want to Do Is Illegal by Joel Salatin.
Okay, I haven't heard of this either.
That's great. It's all about regenerative farming, and he's a true libertarian, so he's not necessarily conservative, but he's a true libertarian. And he kind of talks about corruption in the USDA and all that kind of stuff as a farmer, and just like what the kind of weird, crazy stuff they do to farmers in America to keep them from farming healthy. And then I like, what else? I'm such a reader. So I think those two are probably good. I mean, there's so much I could say. Like, there's so many parenting books that have changed my life and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, those two for health.
Okay, love it. Dream guest for Culture Apothecary.
Jessica Simpson.
Oh, heck yeah. If Jesus had a podcast mic today, what would he say to the church?
Jeez.
I know. I'm like, I cannot wait to hear your answer on this.
Obviously, because it's on brand for me, like, I want to say calling out, like, how they're feeding their congregations. Like, a lot of the health crisis is happening from our churches, but I don't think that's going to be the first thing on his list. I think probably it's like completely false doctrine, false teachers, the seeker sensitive, wishy-washy theology, not focusing on shepherding the church and discipling the church. It's all about, like, we have to get new people in. That's actually not what the purpose of, this is controversial, that's not what the purpose of church is. So that, I think all of those might be like more top of the list now, or like weeding out a lot of just the evil wokeness and stuff that's also in a lot of churches.
Heck yes. I love that answer. Okay, what do you see coming under the Trump admin first that you're most excited about?
With health?
Mm-hmm.
Well, whatever Bobby Kennedy's cooking up with the vaccine schedule is
Okay.
what I'm most excited about. So he kind of cleaned house at the FDA and just kept people. He's like, I want you to pledge, just like me, that we're leaving our bias at the door, that we are going to truly do 50 trials with placebos on every single vaccine that's currently on the schedule. We're going to test these out. We're going to see how many of these are actually necessary to have on the childhood schedule. I think that will completely change American health. And then I think obviously getting food dyes out of our system has just started a cascade effect. When we finally, hopefully, can remove pharma ads off TV, that will change American health forever, because that is controlling the information that broadcasters are allowed to say. When almost your entire advertising budget is coming from Pfizer, you're not going to ever talk bad about products that are coming from Pfizer.
Right.
And so that was a huge problem during the pandemic. So I'd like to get any pharmaceutical commercials off televisions, period.
Do you think that that's realistically going to happen?
Bobby said it was. I don't know if it's going to be a year one thing. I'd like it to be. I'm going to see Callie Means at a wedding this weekend. And so I'm going to ask him, where are we at on that? Because that's something I'm really excited about.
Okay, cool. What do you flip the label over and look for in the grocery store? And maybe you could even just say, and this might be like, you can make it up to a minute, but something like, what should moms be in the grocery store looking for? No seed oils, obviously, but anything else that you think is sneaky that they shouldn't be looking for on there?
So number one, you need to start with eating single ingredient food. That means the most of what you're buying at the grocery store, if you're going to the grocery store, if you can do mostly grow your own farmer's market or local farmer rancher, that would be best. If you can get no meat at the grocery store, that was what would be my first recommendation. But if you have to get everything at the grocery store, your entire cart should mostly be single ingredient food. So, asparagus, eggs, chicken, beef, green beans, potatoes, onions, rice, beans, stuff like that, milk. I wouldn't buy any bread at the grocery store, period. No bread at the grocery store, if at all possible. Butter, that's fine, obviously. Grass-fed butter would be best. And then everything being organic and non-GMO. That would be extremely important to me. And then also, never ever take what's on the front of the label at face value. You have to turn it around. They will greenwash the crap out of stuff. It'll say natural, green. It'll have a picture of a little farm, homestead on there. The whole thing is fake. It's all a psyop. You have to turn it around. Even when on the front of the box it says organic, you have to turn it around, because even organic foods, non-GMO foods sometimes that are processed, if you're talking cookies, crackers, pretzels, stuff like that, nuts, will still have seed oils. So that's sunflower oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, rapeseed, grapeseed, soybean oil. Avoid all of that. Good oils would be butter, olive, avocado, and palm is good. Palm is fine.
Okay.
The caveat to palm oil and why I hesitate on it is because there's a moral, ethical gray area of the way you get palm oil is basically completely destroying our rainforests and killing orangutan homes. And it's just it's really evil how you have to get palm oil. And so if you can avoid it, yes, sometimes you'll see sustainably sourced palm oil, whatever, that would be better. But technically palm oil is not a seed oil, but just know it's really, and I'm not an environmentalist, but I am a normal common sense person, and not this save the whales at all. But I'm just telling you, it's really, really grotesque what they're doing. So stay away from palm if you can.
Got it.
And then, obviously any artificial dyes, blue number 1, yellow number 5, red 40, all of that. Never, ever, ever. I don't care. No exceptions. Sugar, no refined sugar, period. Organic cane sugar or something, okay, but if you're seeing dextrose, sucralose, stuff like that. The other thing is they're very tricky. They will, so that it doesn't say sugar, because most of these ultra processed foods, sugar would be the first ingredient. It's almost all sugar. But 100%. So that it doesn't say sugar, because Americans can recognize that, they will call it 12 different names, and it'll be buried throughout the ingredient list. Mm-hmm. So it is technically all sugar, but it'll be called all these different names. So that's very sneaky. So no refined sugar ever. That's really, really terrible for you. And what else am I looking for? I mean, I try to avoid things that have gums, guar gum, xanthan gum, weird stuff like that.
Which, y'all, is really hard to find a coffee creamer without that in it. Even the cleaner ones. It's crazy.
Yeah, just try to use milk, raw milk, get the cream off the top. So yeah, those would be some things off the top of my head. But yeah, following the Food Babe on Instagram is really helpful because she's constantly taking like a package like chips and then telling you exactly what is wrong with those ingredients. Yes. I don't have all that memorized. There's a lot wrong. I mean, we've got thousands and thousands of ingredients in our food supply that are not allowed elsewhere. So it's a lot to learn.
Agree.
Okay, you can get a scanner app. Use a scanner app. Use the Olive app. Use Flav City, the Bobby, whatever that app is. The Yucca. Use the Seed Oil Scout app. They all have scanners at grocery stores, so you can that will tell you yes, get this, no, don't.
Okay, I didn't know about the seed oil scanner, so that's good to know. So, Alex, I ask everybody this final question, and it is meant to be open to interpretation. So, how do you personally reset?
Think waking up within 30 minutes of sunrise and going outside has been, when I do it, and I'm very bad about being disciplined, but man, when I do it, the difference in my day, it's something about that light, the air, like just the first thing I'm doing is doing that instead of like sitting on my phone for a while. It is the biggest game changer. I sleep better later that night, probably because of those infrared rays straight into my eyeballs. It's such a big game changer for health. And I just interviewed somebody. It was one of the biggest episodes I've done of the year, Thaddeus Owen, on circadian rhythms and light and having a good light diet is what we call it. And he goes into the science of this and he's like, if you're on a weight loss journey, start waking up with the sunrise and going to bed a little after sunset, or having no, blue light or what's the word I'm looking for? Like artificial light in your house. Like turn off all the big lights in your house, only use candles or whatever after the sun sets. He was like, you will start seeing pounds melt off. Now, I don't know how to explain how that works. He does in that episode. So I would go back and listen to that, but it's one of my favorite episodes of the year.
I listened to that episode and it was really good. Yeah, so I'll link it down below too. Yeah, it was really, really good. Okay, I lied to you because I just saw that there was one more question that I got from my audience that I'm curious if you know the answer to. You may not. She asked, why is there no movement in putting laws against chemtrails, GMO, and appeal? Do you know that?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I did interview somebody partially on chemtrails in January. Her name is Leslie Manukian. And she is a lawyer she's like the reason that we don't have to wear masks on planes anymore. She like does all of the stuff, and she has a big specialty. Yeah, she has a big specialty in geoengineering. So she has like a website and all kinds of stuff she's done. So she would be somebody to ask and like read her blogs and read what she's working on with lawsuits legally on that front.
That's good to know. Thank you so much. Now, in closing, Alex, tell everybody one more time where they can find you online, how they can connect with you, all the things.
So you can find me at Real Alex Clark on Instagram, Real Alex Clark on YouTube to watch my show, Culture Apothecary, and then follow Culture Apothecary wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Google Play, whatever. And I drop new episodes every Monday and Thursday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Totally different guests, twice a week, and it never stops. Always an episode, no matter what. So there's so much you can go back and find the titles that speak to you. Like, ooh, this is a subject I'm interested in. I've probably covered it. If you think of it, I've probably covered it. So just go back and have fun binging.
Absolutely. And I can say, as a personal Alex Clark Cultural Apothecary fan, her episodes are fan-freaking-tastic. If you like the episodes here, you will love them there. Please go listen, subscribe. That is the best free way that you can support podcasters you love. So definitely go do that. Leave her a rating or review. And obviously do the same here while you're here. Alex, such a joy to have you. Thanks for being so great.
Thanks, Heather. You are a fantastic interviewer. Great questions. Got into a lot of stuff I don't normally talk about, which is always fun for me.
You're so kind. You're welcome. Okay, bye guys. Love you guys. See you next time. Y'all know I'm obsessed with all things optimal health, as clearly evidenced here on the podcast. Well, let me tell you about a new company and supplement line that I feel is truly going to change the face of not only our health, but also aging. Enter the crazy and amazing world of peptides. I know you've heard a ton about pharmaceutical kinds, the Ozempics, the Wegovy's of the world, all kinds of crazy with the results that people are getting, but also scary in regards to the possible side effects. What if we could get the same results with a peptide that was made in nature instead of a lab? That's where Make Wellness comes in and their line of bioactive precision peptides. You want to be leaner? You want to be fitter? Want to be more hydrated, more energized, focused, all of the above? I am literally obsessed with these, you guys, and I know you will be too. This is the future of where health is headed. Everything is linked in the show notes, so make sure to check them out. I think you're going to be just as obsessed as I am. Okay, friend, that's a wrap on this week's episode. If you're not already following me on Instagram, make sure to screenshot this episode, share it to your stories, and tag @healthy_by_Heather_Brown so I can connect with you in my DMs. It truly brings me so much joy to see how these episodes impact you. Make sure to subscribe so we can see you back here next Tuesday for our weekly show. In case you don't know, your downloads, ratings, and reviews are the actual lifeblood of this podcast, and it helps spread the word to your friends and family. So please hit the download button on this episode and leave a 5-star rating if you super loved it. And if we're really BFFs, you'll spread the happy and text this podcast link to someone who needs to hear it today for some encouragement. Scroll down to the show notes on this episode to see any and all links mentioned, freebies to fuel your health goals, prayer-related episodes, and the 7-day free trial of my exclusive membership where I personally coach and cheer you on in whole health. While you're there, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront with healthy snacks, my favorite look for less workout outfits, and books and devotionals that challenge me in my faith. If you ever need to find my Amazon storefront, just Google Healthy by Heather Brown Amazon and it will come up. Have a great day, girl gang.